I wasn't saved. I wasn't saved at the time. So
why did you text her? Tell us.
What I was texting this young lady is not biblical at all. At all. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Journey Podcast, episode 6. I've been unwell. I was not okay. But here I am. I'm back at it. I'm actually still recovering, still on meds, but God is good, you guys. I saw Jesus, no jokes. I saw Jesus on my bedside, and it was just, it was crazy. But yeah, I'm back, and this is actually season finale, episode 6. Yes, I know some of you are crying, some of you are like, already? But yeah, there's gonna be season 2, definitely. Just need to structure stuff, plan stuff better. But the end of the podcast is not the end of the podcast. We're going to transition into the EP. There's going to be like some, I don't know how to call it yet, but anyway, this is episode 6, and for the first time on this podcast, we have a lady. You guys have cried. My goodness. We were just of you boys, equality. What? We got a lady. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Lydia Zulu.
Thank you for having me. I feel honored to be the first lady on this podcast.
It's an honor. First lady, shout out to all the first ladies out there. I see you. We are out here doing the things.
Make a mini mutintai.
Exactly. You get it after a while. But anyway, Lydia, thank you so much for coming. Thank you for agreeing to do this. Side note, she thought this was a joke. Like, can you imagine, guys?
I thought it was for
she was
fun.
Like, for fun. I'm like, what do you mean?
I thought it was for fun.
But yeah, and today we're going to be talking about everything relationships. So not everything, because we may talk for too long. We'll try and streamline some things. I want to talk about certain things, but anyway, let's see how the conversation goes. So I want to talk about, firstly, I think because we're Africans, one of the things I want to address is relationships with our parents. And I mean, obviously we can talk about a lot of things, but vulnerability.
Okay.
With our parents, and just, I guess, openness, Yeah, so how's that been like for you generally? Hit us. Talk to us.
Vulnerability or my relationship with my parents. Okay, I feel like because I don't know if it's the age gap between me and my mom, and even just like, she's really old. I can say that doesn't sound
not
bad, right?
Not really.
She is like there's a big gap. So for me,
obviously she's your mom.
I know, but
yeah.
Anyway, I feel like I'd like our relationship to be a little bit more open when it comes to vulnerability. I feel like I haven't really, we have a good relationship, don't get me wrong, but like for me to sit with her and talk about like real issues of like, stuff that I've been through, relationships, boys, that's where like things get a little bit I don't say complicated, but it's difficult for me to sit and talk to her about these things. I feel like I have had people that I'm more open with, that are older. Like, so I have certain conversations with older people that are not really that far off from her age. I feel like I wish I could have this conversation with my mom. But so ish. We have a beautiful relationship, but I think when it comes to vulnerability and just being able to talk about the real issues, not just like we can talk about God, we can talk about
obviously every African, but that's all they want you to talk about. Actually, it's just God. That was God. You're serving at church.
Exactly. Actually, so I think it's I have a good relationship with my mom, but I think it's not can I say real? Because it doesn't have that real aspect of like, you know, all these stuff. It's more like, "Hish, can I tell my mom these things?"
Yeah. Is there like an element of fear
from me?
Yeah,
definitely. And the interesting thing is that I recently, like only recently, and I'm 24, and only recently was
I'm gonna tell you my age.
but only recently is when I managed to sit with her and actually tell her that, you know what, I'm afraid of you. Like I told her those words. Yes.
Wow.
Like I'm afraid to tell you, certain things, because I feel like, you just take it from this angle. Not, not. I don't want to paint a bad picture.
Don't worry, she won't watch.
But you just know, like you just know how it is, especially with like parents who grew up in like the really traditional years. There's that thing for. Okay, my mom has never told me I should talk to my auntie about this, but I've heard it in certain homes. Like, no, you can't. Instead of talking to me, you talk to your auntie. I've never experienced that. I have felt this like, I can't talk to my mom about,
Yeah. I feel, and I also kind of feel, I mean, okay, we'll get to my story a bit later because, it's deep. I also kind of feel like it's that way because they also kind of haven't created that environment where you feel safe. Like, oh, it's okay, we could talk about pretty much anything, whatever is on your mind, right? So it's like, even on them, they're like, I don't expect you to come to me and talk to me about boys or like girls, and like, it's how's school? Church? You're fine.
Do you know
Are you fine? How's your health? Are you breathing? Are you alright? That's it. Okay, you're fine. Okay, let's move on. Let's watch TV. Let's do something.
But I kind of feel like it's not like that for everyone. Yeah, I feel like some people do have like even older parents who they have like the more open relationship with. I kind of feel like it's more of the traditional parent like that's have that type of structure. Not to say, and please, I love my mom. There's like but
sure you do. No, she does. She does.
Yeah, it is what it is. Actually, it was out of love. Okay, wasn't it? Okay, did it start from a point of love? Like
frustration. It was out of a point of frustration. They're like, Mom, I'm tired. Do you know what?
Yeah, but I'm grateful for having like the recent conversation with her where like it started from a place of frustration but got to a place of vulnerability, which I didn't expect it to get to. But
sure,
like of course. No, please, I'm not that dramatic. But I think that was a turning point for us in terms of like vulnerability, because I was able to tell her like, I want to be able to sit with you and tell you like, hey, this is my man, this is the guy I'm into. I want to
like a Hollywood movie. Jeez.
It's on someone. It's on
it's a whole other concept of life.
So I was able to tell her like, I want to like have a free relationship. I don't want to be scared. I don't want to go and tell other people and not tell my mom, such things. And I think that was a turning point for us. And I think that goes to show that it's never too late to have certain conversations, because I've had it at 24 and like now it's like we're starting.
That's probably my word. There's certain things, and I'll be honest, I'll be vulnerable. There's certain things where I'm just like, it's fine, like it is what it is. He's old, I'm getting old. Let's just leave it the way it is. We've maneuvered so far in life. We'll just continue, right? But Aishi, man, I guess you're right. It's not too late. For me, I think I'm a bit closer to my mom. Because like she's, I don't know, we just relate more, and I can sit down.
You're a mommy's boy is what you're trying to tell us.
Not really. Not really. It's like I know what a mommy's boy is.
It's not you?
No. We can relate, we can sit down, we can have conversations, we can actually have a good laugh. Just sit down, breakfast table, whatever. But with my dad, sit down, breakfast table, it's not just chilling, having a good laugh, it's the usual, Oh, so how's business? So how's business?
What are you planning to do with your life?
Exactly. Are you okay? How's your money? Are you surviving? Are you good? and like that's like the conversation. It's let's see if you're alive, you know what I'm saying? Let's check your vitals. If you're good, you're good. Okay, then that's pretty much it, right? Yeah, and I remember I don't even know how many years ago, and I was like, this can't be it, you know, like I wanna have a real relationship with my dad. I mean, anyone can ask me how I'm doing financially, and you know what I'm saying, but I wanna have that real thing. And it's like I tried for so long, but it's like and you know, there's that thing where like you just don't get me, you know. And I had one example. My father is never gonna watch this video.
Yeah, sure.
Never gonna watch this video. Yeah, when I was having a hard time, you know, like figuring out music, not music, how important is music to me, how much do I love it, what can I do with music, just the whole music is in the picture. I really love it. I love everything to do with sound and whatever, right? And so I'm trying to learn how to navigate this thing, and I know very well in Africa, either a lawyer, accountant, doctor, engineer, and I'm like, cool, fine, you know what, maybe this can be the beginning. I go have a conversation with my dad. We talk in length about it. Sounds like, you know, he's hearing me out. Yeah, and cool. So we had this conversation in his bedroom. So I leave, and I don't know if it's just me being silly. But yeah, I was like, let me go back and hear what they're talking about with their wife, you know. And like I go and put my ear at the door, and you know, he was saying stuff like, this is music, what, I just need to focus, need to forget about it, right? And it's like almost opposite everything he was telling me. And I'm like, I just, at that point I felt so alone. Like I was just like, my dad doesn't believe in me. It's wild. Like, then who will, right? And for me, it really hurt, because it was coming from home, you know what I'm saying? It's not like, oh, there's support at home, but then everywhere else I go, it's like, out here in the world, it's tricky. But then it's like from a place that's so fundamental to me, is like, if at home they can support me, like where do I get the strength to actually pick myself up and just keep moving, right? So I think from there, it was wild, right? And so I was at a place where like, I actually need to prove myself for like to my own family, to my own, and like for me, like my dad, my mom of my dad, is like a pillar in my life. And so for me to not have the support of my pillar, I have to prove myself to kind of get that sense of like support and whatever, which it took a while. It really took a while. In there was now a bit of what I was talking about, where like, I think this is it. Like, you know, it's fine. This is how the relationship will be. This is just how it's gonna be. I remember having a conversation with someone from church, and I'm like, it just is what it is, right? And I think from there, I've forgotten what exactly they said, but I remember like I was inspired to like, you know what, let me have faith for this, you know, let me actually try to take this thing one step at a time. And you know, would have different conversations every now and then. I got to a point where I was afraid to have conversations with my dad, because it was like, I kind of felt like there's no support. I'm trying to do this thing, and so every time it'd be like, yo, let's have a conversation, I kind of felt like, I'll leave that conversation discouraged. So it's like, in order for me to avoid the discouragement, I'll be like avoid the conversation. Like, let's just not talk.
But was that because of what you heard, or like even during the process you just didn't feel the support? It
was like during the process, I'm not really feeling the support, but I'm just like, I'm trying to convince them. Right, so now even in trying to convince them, it's like, if we have this conversation. I
know, but I kind of also feel like just trying to like see it from their point of view. I know that parents just have these expectations for their children, and so when just something else comes, that's a bit.
If it's not this, young lad, you better have a better plan than me. Who knows better than you?
I can also kind of relate to that, though. like when it comes to my masters, yeah, so I'm studying, and like for me, I don't people no one should judge me, but I don't necessarily plan on
judge her in the comment section. Judge her.
Yeah, I don't necessarily plan on doing my masters. Maybe after some time, but for me, it's a thing like where maybe it goes back to the fear or the nature of the relationship we had, but because she had this expectation of like, you know, it's all that she said to a point where she never gave me a chance to even express what I want, you know, and now I don't even have the guts to say this is not what I want, because like she has this structure of how like, you know,
there's the plan. And if you move away from the plan, you're a performer. And so already like there was no that realness of a relationship, so it's like let me just try figure this thing out. When I figure it out, then we can have a conversation, right? And I kind of felt like slowly but surely I started to open up a lot about how I felt, right? Because I mean there was that aspect we had to deal with. It's like I'm not just this person who you expect to do A, B, C, D. I've got thoughts, right? I've got fears, I've got feelings. And so when you say certain things, this is how I feel. And I feel like that was the beginning of like a turning point, right? I can actually remember this conversation where I said, like, Dad, like every time I talk to you about like the direction of like life and career and like ministry and whatever, I don't really feel like a support. I feel like
criticism,
you know, like criticism, and like I'm always being told the risk, right? And so it's like I come to a place where like you're my pillar, you're like my source of like, you know, encouragement, but all I'm being told is here's the risk, right? Like I mean everything has risk, right? But then it's like despite it, like I could see that, like I'm not stupid, you know, like I can see the risk. There's things that I can't see clearly. I also don't have like all the answers and like all the nitty-gritties, but I just need that push, like, look, this could actually work out, this could actually go this way, this could actually be something great, this could actually impact people's lives. Like I'm not hearing that, I'm just saying, mana, this could be wow, like this could be the end. And like coming from a place that I think is like my pillar, this is how I feel. And from that, slowly but surely it's like, okay, you know, even like the direction of the conversations used to kind of change. It's like, okay, could you talk to this person about it? Or like, oh, there's this guy who's doing ABCD in line with your field, could you talk to them? Maybe what. And then now there's more of a, let me understand what you're trying to achieve, you know, and then help me understand so that I can kind of help you walk through it, or help in whatever way I can. Right now, I mean, obviously now it's not like perfect. They'll be like, hey, yo, what's up? Yeah, life is wild. No. But I mean, it's definitely better. We're like at a point, exactly. Or at a point where like we can actually reason, right? So you tell me what you think. Okay, cool. Here's what I think. Blah 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 blah. And then I mean, if we don't agree or if we agree, it's like we understand why, rather than just no, me, I've said this. You are not listening to me.
It's a good point to be at.
It really is.
Progression over perfection.
Really is. I think there's one thought. I mean, like away from my life, I've talked a lot, guys. Hope you have learned something. I've learned something. I mean, it's an open-ended question. Why do you? I've rarely heard. I mean, it's not everybody, but like I've rarely heard how like parents opening up, right, and just like being honest about like their journey through life, you know. Even like just as a kid, me, the only stories I used to hear is me when I was in school, I used to pass number one. I don't know now if all our parents were passing number one. Where were those?
Because there's always those.
You know, like guys, there was only one number in class. But you know, like where are like those stories of I remember this girl broke my heart when I was young. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't hear those. You just hear general stuff, you know? Why? do you think that's so?
Ish.
Unless maybe tell us, maybe your mother
About
she
boys.
tells you what I remember I had a cute boyfriend in grade 2 in college, right?
Man, I really wish I could understand it better. I feel like we should have had a parent here to give us insight. But
we'll call you if you're a parent. Let us know.
An older parent, because I feel like as we go, as we are progressing, like things are changing in the relationship between parents and their children. But I also think it goes back to the way they were raised. I mean,
it's always dumb.
Now you want me to forget what I'm please. What did I even want to say now? Yeah, I mean, you can only give what you've seen, right? You can you can learn from other sources, but it's much easier when you've like had that before, and so now you can transfer it over to like your children. So I think like my best guess would be like, they didn't have that with their parents, and so it's something hard or foreign or something that maybe they would have to put a little bit more effort in getting to do with their children, because they don't have any model of what that looks like. I'm sure there's also that fear of, okay, what is too much, what boundaries can I not cross, there's all that. But then again, I feel like that can't be an excuse. Okay, I don't know.
I feel you. It reminded me of this is a story for just us guys. Those days where you don't have a phone. I think back in the day, Airtel wasn't even like, it wasn't even like,
I'm sorry, I just remembered something.
It wasn't even like, way before like you could actually have like SMS power. It was like at units, you have like, whatever. So you use your parents' phone to text like a girl that and so I'll say what everyone says. I wasn't saved. I wasn't saved at the time. So
why did you text her? Tell us.
What I was texting this young lady is not biblical at all. At all, my goodness. Anyway, I was,
Tell us, want to know the details.
I was like, hey girl, what are you wearing? She replied, I'm sure she lied, but just to keep the conversation going. No, I want to ABCD. Explore ABCD and do ABCD. Now, because I was so full of the Holy Spirit, I forgot to delete the message. And then now, I think my dad saw the conversations on the phone right now. Like what you said, I'm sure him also, they never used to have open conversations with the way they grew up, right? And so how I knew that he even saw the messages was because she wasn't like, oh no, I've seen these messages and whatever, no, let's have a conversation. Who's this girl? Zero. He just one day just said, Sunny, AIDS is real. And like we've never had this conversation before, and I must say it's so awkward. AIDS is real, diseases are real. Some things they look like they are fun. Your friends will do everything. And in my head, I was like, this is because I forgot to delete the message. I'm sure he read it. Yeah, and so I mean, like, just for stuff like that, right now, I think putting myself in his shoes is, he's probably never had that conversation, right? Like with him and his parents. And so it's like, how? You know what I'm saying? Like how? I've never seen this, probably never seen my friends, like, like how do I do this? And I feel like for us, like if we want to do better, you know what I'm saying, like with our kids and like with the next generation, because I mean it's out there, right? And we also haven't kind of seen the full picture. And the good part is like we're able to recognize it, right? For them probably there was nothing to recognize because that's how it was, that's how they've done it. It's like, what do you mean we're not close? Didn't I pay your school fees? Don't I? You know what I'm saying? And like that's all they've seen, because they kind of had a lack of, there's no provision, they had to go out, so it's like, I'll provide for my child, right? And they've done that, true. Right? And so for us to kind of do that is, I feel one of the biggest steps is even just practicing vulnerability and being open, I mean, even before we have kids, you know what I'm saying? Because it's one thing to say, oh yeah, I'm gonna be open with my kids, but you're not open now. Like, how is it going to all of a sudden start? Like, bruh, 30 years of your life you've never opened up. All of a sudden you have a child, now you feel like you're gonna be able to talk freely and just have a conversation, right? It's here, it's with friends, and like, we get used to having that environment. It's pretty much just bringing a child into the environment they find. So if they find it's open here, it's free, I feel like I can talk. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can talk to my dad, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like it's easy for us to say it now. I mean, the points that you raised are really good and valid and
very good.
Sound very ideal.
Very good.
But
like this video.
He'll come back to the podcast when he has children to tell you how it's gonna
yes.
go.
In fact, I'll bring my child on the podcast, and he'll tell
you about all the struggles and
yes.
you know, I said it would, but you know, there was this bump that I didn't consider.
Exactly.
Then you have like a better in-depth.
That's actually a good that I'll have a podcast with my child. We're gonna have it. If you're watching this and you are above 10 years, we are starting at 10. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Everybody watching, everybody listening, let's practice it. Like, you know, and for sure, it's definitely something that's not the easiest. It's
vulnerabilities.
It's not comfortable. You're not gonna be opening up and smiling about it. You know what I'm saying? It's not comfortable. I guess that's why we haven't even seen it a lot. I mean, if it was a comfortable thing to do,
be everywhere.
Exactly.
And also, like, even in practicing it, I think another thing to have in mind is that there won't be like one A, B, C, D like thing. It's not like, even in the scenario with your parents, it's not like even after you have that conversation, like when you open up, it will just be automatic, like everyone's vulnerable, everything is good now. I feel like even just because you have to unlearn things, and I feel like even our parents, can I get it?
Oh, sorry, you get distracted first time.
So let me finish.
Okay. So sorry.
Yeah, and I think now, like, even with our parents and even with us, because we didn't have that, it would be something. It would be us now having to learn, and our parents having to unlearn certain things, and also learn, like, okay, when they tell me this, because I don't know how to respond, or I know that this is a no. It's also a process of them learning, and a process where they also need grace and not just expect like, you know, it's just like And then also kind of wanted to say that there's something that when you're saying, like, you know, our parents, for them it's like they didn't have a certain type of life, so for them it's gonna be like, I'm gonna provide for my children. I also kind of feel like as time is evolving and as we're going, like, we're becoming, like, this generation is very expressive is what I think.
A little too much. But anyway,
and I think that's where now the desire for, like, you know, more of those, like, real relationships coming from, because even in both of our scenarios you could see that we are the ones who initiated it with our parents because of, like, the generation that we're in. And so I kind of feel like each generation will bring its own new stuff. There may be stuff that we're not seeing now that the generation that we will give birth to will be like, hey, my parents don't do this, you know. So I think it's all about, like, just learning and unlearning and the grace that comes with everything. Now
can I? Okay. Wise young lady. Masters for what?
For who?
For who?
Monday. For me.
You. For me. Anyway, that's between you and your mother.
And God. Me and God.
God is not even involved. That's you and your mom. You just said it so perfectly. I think it's the combination of, yes, have the faith that your relationship can improve. Have also, like, the patience. I mean, it's not gonna be a day thing. Your parents are probably 60, 70, like, they've had all that exactly, and you want to introduce this new thing, right? And so like, you know, patience and grace for them, because it's
definitely.
Exactly for you it's like, oh yeah, I really want this. You can really see that it's lacking. For them it's like, I don't know how to do this thing that you want me to do. So there's have the faith for it, the patience, and also the grace for them. And I think also it's something to obviously involve God in.
Prayer.
Because I mean, as much as, like, we just want to have, like, this beautiful real relationship with our parents, it's also just something beyond like, oh, just me and my dad or me and my mom. Like it goes down like for generations, obviously.
Definitely.
And it affects the society, the nation, and just the caliber. It's huge. It's huge, and it's definitely God wants to be involved in, because He orchestrated that relationship, a family relationship. So yes, that is it.
That's my favorite thing to say. That thing I like saying, like, where like you've already said it, but I just want to echo it. Like how we get communities from families, and so that's where it all starts. We need to have good families first, have a good community first, have a good nation first, have a good world. It all starts there. Yeah. So those are very important relationships to have.
Yeah. So when I had relationships in mind, obviously I had parental relationships, but I also kind of had like romantic relationships. But I don't know if we should have into it now, though, because I feel like it's so juicy. It's so juicy, and it's just gonna take so much time, and just gonna talk and talk. Anyway, Lydia and I went on to talk about another cardinal part of relationships, a relationship with yourself, and how to have a healthy relationship with yourself. But I didn't want us to go into that video now, because I didn't want to dilute or downplay the importance of this conversation and just having a healthy relationship with your parents. So we're gonna pause this video here at 30 minutes, and then we're gonna dive into that on a part 2, which I'll upload later this week. So anyway, thank you again to everybody who's been following the Journey podcast and different conversations. I want us to really dive into this particular conversation, this topic. And so do let me know in the comment sections what you think, how your relationship has been. Also, do follow me on Instagram. I'm gonna be like posting stuff on my IG stories today and tomorrow, which is probably Monday and Tuesday. So do hit me up. You can feel free to inbox me or comment, whatever you're comfortable with. Thank you again for everybody who's been following the conversation. Let's really talk. Let's have real conversations about this. Let me know how your relationship has been with your parents, how it's been. Has it been good? Has it been bad? Let's talk. Let's have a conversation. Thank you again. If you're new, do subscribe. If you haven't already subscribed, subscribe. And see you soon.